Hey guys, Mike from CCTV Camera Pros here. In this video, I want to tell you about an awesome new feature on our Viewtron IP camera NVRs. It's called Virtual Alarm. And so I've made a bunch of video demos in the past with our Viewtron DVRs and NVRs with the physical alarm input and alarm outputs. That's the alarm block on the back where you can hardwire things like door sensors and motion sensors and lights physically to the NVR hardwired. This virtual alarm works over an IP network. So to demonstrate it, I set up this Arduino right here, and I programmed a little push button application so that when that button is pressed, it'll communicate with the Viewtron NVR that I push the button and to trigger the virtual alarm. And this is not hardwired in any way to the NVR. This little Arduino has a built-in Wi-Fi port, and it's connecting to the wireless access point here and communicating over the local area network with the NVR using an HTTP post, also known as a webhook. So this basically sends a command over the local area network, but you could do this over the internet remotely as well, saying, hey, this button was pressed, trigger the virtual alarm. Then on the NVR side, you could set up that virtual alarm to trigger actions like mobile app push notification, recording on one or more cameras. You can trigger the alarm on the NVR. You can trigger physical alarm outputs on the NVR. It's extremely powerful because all of these new Internet of Things that are being created all over the place use this technology called webhooks, where when an action takes place, it can send a command to an external system to basically a webhook endpoint to take some type of action. So I'm going to press the button here right now, and I think you'll hear the alarm on the NVR, have the audio alarm enabled. So you can hear the alarm on the NVR, but what also happened is that sent a push notification to my mobile app, and it triggered recording on the NVR, and all of those events will be bookmarked on the NVR, so I know anytime that button was pressed. Let's shift over to the NVR real quick. I'm going to show you how the virtual alarm is configured over there, and then when we wrap up, I'll tell you a little bit more about this Arduino program. I also wrote a little Python script that runs from my MacBook to demonstrate that you could use any programming language to interact with our Viewtron IP camera NVRs to do these types of integrations. Let's go over to the NVR now, and I'll show you how it's set up. Here's the live security camera view on my Viewtron NVR. And to access the menu, I click on this Start button down here and click Settings. On the main menu screen, I'm going to go into the Network section first, and then click on the port link. So you need to enable this API server. So I check that enable box, and I'm going to leave the authentication type as basic. I click apply there. And then next I'm going to go into the AI event settings, and then I'm going to click on the sensor link. You'll see that this is the list of all of the alarm sensors on the NVR. And the first 16 of them are physical alarm relays on the NVR, and then the virtual alarms are below there. The 16 channel NVRs, the new one, have 16 virtual alarms. I already named this one panic button, but you can name it whatever you want, and then you can set a schedule if you want, so that when my button is pressed, it'll only trigger this alarm in a certain schedule. And then you could set the duration for the amount of time the alarm goes off for. And then I have mine set up to trigger recording on the front camera on my house. I could set up other cameras too, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to scroll over here so you can see the rest of these settings. You can set up a snapshot. I have push notifications enabled to the mobile app. if I wanted to, I could trigger alarm outputs either on the NVR or any of the IP cameras that have alarm outputs that are also connected to the NVR. And then I have the buzzer on the alarm, the audible alarm on the NVR set to on, and I could set a pop-up video and a pop-up message and trigger an email alert if I wanted to. So when I'm done, I click apply and X out of those settings, and now I'm back at the live security camera view. Let's take a quick look at the Arduino code just to go over the variables that need to be configured and a basic understanding of how this works from the programming side. So the first thing at the top of this sketch is the Wi-Fi user ID and password. The Arduino ESP8266 board that I used has built-in Wi-Fi, and I'm using that to connect to the network so that I can connect to the Viewtron NVR. You'll need to change that server IP variable to the local IP address of your Viewtron NVR. You can get that from the network settings page right on the NVR, and the default server port is 80. And then the endpoint URL, this is the URL of the HTTP post. The only thing that you might need to change here is that number 17 on the end. A 16-channel Viewtron NVR that I was using has 16 physical alarm ports. So the virtual alarm port number 1 is alarm port 17. And then the user ID and password, that's just your standard user ID and password that you log into your NVR with. And then you don't need to change it, but just so you see how it works, that XML payload variable, that's the XML that's sent into that URL from the application that triggers the virtual alarm. Guys, I hope this video has been helpful. This virtual alarm feature and the application programming interface that's available on the Viewtron NVRs is extremely powerful. I mean, this lets you integrate any third-party system that can send a webhook out to an endpoint. It allows you to integrate with all kinds of devices and systems that communicate over IP networks. Before starting CCTV Camera Pros with Greg almost 20 years ago, I did software engineering for about 10 years, and I do like to get in and tinker with software code still, and these types of projects really get me fired up. I'll be doing more testing with this as there's opportunities to integrate other types of devices with the Viewtron NVRs. I definitely want to make more examples. I've been researching so far, and things like smart door locks and things like that seem to be a really great fit to be able to bookmark anytime a door lock opens, is unlocked or locked on a centralized place on the NVR, or you may want to trigger recording on the camera that faces that door. There's tons of scenarios like that I'm really excited to get into. Anyways, if you have any questions about the Viewtron virtual alarm feature, or anything related to security camera systems in general, if you need help with the system design or really anything, you could reach out to me anytime. I could be reached via email at mike@viewtron.com. I'm going to post all the code for this little Arduino project and also the Python script that I wrote. I'm going to put that on GitHub, and I'll link to it in the blog post that I'm going to make. If you want to jump directly to that blog post at any time and learn more about this, you could go to www.viewtron.com/valarm. Thank you for watching.